The U.S. population seems pretty evenly divided over whether the human species is biologically related to other animals or whether we were specially created as part of a flurry of miracles. Even our collective politicians, seemingly all of them, are wrapped up in this controversy, and all of them knows what it's about. Why is it that there is such concern in so many grade schools, K through 12, about teaching creationism? Yet there is still a complete consensus among scientists all over America and the rest of the world that Christianity is the backbone of modern science, and a demonstrable reality historically as well. Most people don't understand Christianity, what it is, how it works, what Jesus and God are, or even the purpose behind it. Which brings us to the first foundational falsehood of atheism, the idea that creationism isn't science. They know it is, but they say it isn't anyway. Atheism can be collectively defined as the fraction of evolutionists who reject God. And even if that God is the Christian God, and even if that God created the universe and everything in it, which they all believe, atheism is an obstinate and dogmatic, superstitious belief which holds that members of most seemingly related taxonomic groups evolved out of thin air. These people rely instead on blind faith in the assumed authority of their favorite fables.
Whoa! Charizard! Amazing!
It evolved into Charizard!
There are basically two types of atheist. The professional or political atheist. For example, Hitler, Joseph Stalin, and Mao Zedong. Microbiologist Dr. Ken Miller and Dr. Robert T. Bacher embraced Darwinism and publicly denounced God. These are the activists who lead the movement and who will regularly, deliberately lie to promote their propaganda and know they're lying to our children. And if you have to lie to defend your truth, then it was never really truth to begin with. And atheism obviously is not like the truth and does not like the truth. And the second type, which are the innocently deceived followers, commonly known as sheep.
Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, I would like to make an announcement. Blueberry pie, 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 blueberry pie. Everybody loved the blueberry pie. Everybody loved the blueberry pie. Everybody loved the blueberry pie. All right.
I know lots of stupid atheists, but I can't get any of them to actually admit that all of the scriptures of any religion were written by Jesus. The Jewish Torah, the Christian Gospels, are all the absolute truth and the revealed word of the one true God, and the Quran of Islam, the Kitab-i-Aqdas of Baha'u'llah, the Hindu Vedas, the Avestas of Zarathustra, the Adi Granth of the Sikhs, the Mahabharatas, Bhagavad Gita, the Book of Mormon, and the Urantia book were written by human hands, and were thus subject to the interpretations, impressions, and perspectives of their primitive and often prejudiced and politically motivated authors, and they cite this as the explanation behind many of the contradictions in those books. None of these have any particular advantage over the others, none of them have any evidentiary support, and none of them are historically verifiable. All of them require faith and apologetics as well, because they also contain inconsistencies, absurdities, and primitive notions once held true, but which have since been disproved. So they can claim no evidence of divine wisdom. Many of them promote heinous atrocities in place of morality, and many claim to be validated by prophecies now fulfilled, where each may also contain prophecies which failed to come to pass as predicted. Other documents filtered in at the same time, all of which attributed to human authors.
The Notebook.
Notebook?
You probably won't believe me, but I've got a special notebook.
Please bring the notebook over to the helicopter.
Thank you, This is how Kira killed. The second notebooks and Miyazaki, come on, let me see it. 2 books. There have to be 2 notebooks, possibly more. This isn't over yet.
When Charles Darwin published his landmark observations in 1859, he lamented that, as a moral guide, it utterly fails, because much of the originals were written by ignorant and bigoted savages who condoned and promoted animal cruelty, incest, slavery, abuse of slaves, spousal abuse, child molestation, abortion, pillage, murder, cannibalism, genocide, and prejudice against race, nationality, religion, sex, and sexual orientation. Why? To justify Darwinism, evolution, and atheism by claiming to do the will of God.
Then let me ask you, do gods of death love apples?
Not necessarily. You see, our internal organs have already degraded. We've evolved to a point where we do not require sustenance.
In May of 2007, former child actor Kirk Cameron and fellow advocate Ray Comfort scientifically proved the existence of God on national television.
100% absolutely without the use of faith.
Of course, that happened to include all the other lines of evidence which point to the creationism conclusion exclusively and in brilliant detail. Why else would these things exist? It's as if he were trying to tell us something. Men couldn't create any of those things, but men can tell stories, whoppers, in fact.
Today I went on a small road trip and I drove through the town of Pensacola, Florida, and something struck me. As I was driving through this shitty, lower middle class, impoverished, white trash area, I was struck by the sheer number of churches that I passed. It was Episcopalian, Baptist, Lutheran, non-denominational, Catholic, Southern Baptist, First Assembly of God, and then mega churches, the big mega churches that look like Walmarts with steeples attached to them. I wanted to pull over and ask one of the rednecks if he could give me directions to the nearest mosque or synagogue, just to see the expression on their face. I, of course, didn't do that, but I did get to thinking about fast food. I started to think, come Sunday morning, every one of these churches that I see surrounding me on both sides as I drive through this intellectually bankrupt little town. Come Sunday morning, each one of those churches will be filled with parishioners listening to their pastor or reverend or whatever deliver slightly varying versions of God's absolute and immutable truth. And then I thought about McDonald's and Burger King and Rally's and In-N-Out Burger and Whataburger and all these little burger joint fast food places across the country. And now each of them would probably claim to have the best burger in the world. They all serve the same menu items: burger, fries, Coke, burger, fries, Coke. Same menu items, but each of them would probably claim to be of better quality and better service than the rest. When in reality, every one of these fast food places is serving you substandard shit that will send you prematurely to your grave. You don't get a fast food hamburger and fries because you think they taste good. You get a fast food hamburger and fries because they're quick and easy. And really, it's the same thing with all these churches competing with one another along this stretch of road that I was driving. No one goes to these churches to get the absolute truth because none of these people care about the absolute truth. God to them is just a variable.
No matter what the world, the God of that world creates the rules. In truth, you've already been defeated by the rules I created, and as punishment for defying the God of the new world, you will die.
Despite all the attempted deception, the baseless assertions, and political division produced by the atheist movement, the truth is there has never been a single verifiably accurate argument of evidence indicative of evolution over miraculous creation or any other avenue of actual science. ERVs, atavisms, transitional forms, physiological, anatomical, and molecular vestiges, ontogeny and developmental biology, protein functional redundancy, convergent phenotypes, mobile genes, observed speciation, or the myriad methods of dating geologic stratigraphy, nor any twin-nested hierarchy of phylogenetic clades. All consistently fail every test. Neither has there ever been any credible proponents of atheism anywhere ever, because with one crackpot exception, everyone who has ever published anti-creationist rhetoric to any medium did so only according to a prior religious agenda rather than any amount of scientific comprehension. They've all revealed inexcusable ignorance in the very fields where they claim expertise, and their arguments are all dependent on erroneous assumptions, prejudicial bias, logical fallacies, ridiculous parody, misdefined terms, misquoted authorities, distorted data, fraudulent figures, or out-and-out lies. In addition to the usual propaganda of inflammatory emotional pleas, tall tales, petty bigotry, incredulity, and appeals to authority. Thus, there are only two types of arguments for atheism: those which are untestable, indistinguishable from the delusions of imagination, and can neither be indicated nor vindicated, verified or disproved, and those which have already been disproved many times over, both scientifically and in a court of law.
What the fuck is that?